Excellent. Good. So welcome to our customer mastery workshop. For those that haven't sort of been on any of our mastery workshops in the past, we have a series of 6 workshops that rotate every 3 months, covering the core aspects of business growth. So from self-mastery, time improvement, to finance, marketing, sales, team mastery, which is going to happen in a few weeks' time. But today is really about customer mastery. So, and the essence of this is, how do we get our clients to stay longer, and how do we get more out of them? Okay, so there's two key things. So our average transaction value, so that's more from each sale, and make sure that our customers keep coming back again and again and again. So not about lead generation, getting new business. We deal with that in our marketing and sales. This is very much about maintaining our existing client base. And for many people, when they're growing a business, they get too stuck in actually trying to bring more business in, and forget about it's actually easier to sell to our existing client base. And we've got to make sure that we don't lose our clients. Otherwise, it's like trying to fill a bathtub with the plug left out. So we keep pouring new clients in, and the old ones keep disappearing. And you'll know this, when you've been to for service businesses, or you've bought something in the past where they've put a lot of work to get you, and then you feel like nothing's happened to maintain you. And I think a real classic example of this is car insurance. So if you think about what they spend to actually get you as a client, and then when you come for renewal, it feels like they don't really care about you. So you tend to jump ship and you go and work for somebody else, and you get your insurance, and there's no brand loyalty in there. So this is really about keeping our clients and moving on. So I know for Harvey, you've got a select few clients at the moment. Katie, are you sort of what's your client base like at the moment? Are you sort of in the tens, hundreds, thousands?
No, it's nearer the tens than the hundreds and thousands.
Nearer the tens. Okay, so
yeah,
so you guys know that that each client then is so important to you. So maintaining them, keeping them is going to be really key. But it doesn't matter what business that we've got. We've got to have strategies around this, rather than just people go, oh, I need sales and marketing. Well, why do you need sales and marketing? Why not focus on building more from your existing client base? So before we start, I'd just like you guys to just have a think about what you'd like to get out of this workshop today. So if you can open the chat box up, and it's just easy if you just put it into the chat, and then we can sort of see what's going in there. I'll just type something in there. So, okay, just so it should now come up. So if you type in there, and that just means that anything that comes up and you don't want to just sort of unmute yourself and talk, you can just put it into the chat box, and I'll deal with it as it goes. So yeah, just what you would like to get out. So what would be important for you to get out of the workshop today around getting more out of your existing clients? So, okay, so find out what we have on offer. That's good. But around customers, Katie, what would be one thing that if you could achieve one thing out of your existing clients, what would that be? Is it about keeping them longer? Is it about getting more revenue from them? Which one of those two would be the most important for you? So maintaining good relations, great, Harvey. That's a good one. And repeat work. Okay, so how do we get more work? Okay, so keep those in mind, and we'll delve into a little bit more detail around those as we go. So the first thing that we've got to think, and I start all of my workshops with this formula. Okay, so if you've been on a few, you'll recognise this, but it is so vitally important for success in anything. So B times do equals have. So have is, what do we want to have? So what's the goal that we want to achieve? And then the B and the do is, who do we need to be? So what's our attitude and knowledge? And what do we need to do? What is our plans and our actions? So out of these three, the have is always the most important. So the more clear we are what we want to achieve out of a strategy, the more we then know who we need to be and what we need to do. So we're going to cover sort of these three things. So that's why I sort of say at the start, what is it you want to have as a result of this? It's so important to have that. So, with regard to our beliefs, though, we often have these sort of what we call limiting beliefs around customers. So, if I just take you off, if you can just come off mute for a second, and it might just be quicker if we just talk about this. So, Harvey, what would some negative beliefs be around customers? From your experience, I know you haven't been in business that long. So you've not been tainted by having lost customers, but you probably heard your dad and other people talk about it in the past. So, what would be some negative beliefs be?
But customers are difficult. They're not all difficult. But
they're difficult.
Can be.
Pain in the neck. They always phone up at the wrong time. No consideration. So, anything else?
When you need them, you can't find enough of them. When you don't need them, there's too many.
Yep. So a bit like buses. When you want one, they're not there, and when you don't need them, they all come in one go. So, good, Katie. What about you?
Just like you can't ever take it for granted that just because they've apparently been very happy or given you really good testimonial in the past, it doesn't mean on the next project or the next work you do for them that you're going to be there, shoe in for the work. Yeah.
So there's that sort of I mean that's I would say is a positive belief on that is. You're only as good as the last job that you did with it. Can you still see the slide screen?
Yes, can.
Yeah, it can. That's fine. I just wasn't sure whether it was showing up there. So, oops, where's it gone? So we've got to really sort of start to think about our beliefs, and certainly our beliefs as business owners. But as we grow, and for some of you, you've got teams as well. One of the first things is actually questioning what our beliefs around customers are. Because a lot of people, when they've been in the game a long time, they can start to gain some negative beliefs. Customers are a pain in the neck, they don't pay on time, they're the pain in my life. And if we have these negative beliefs, then we tend to start to behave in a different way. We behave negatively to them. Okay, so you would have seen this when you go out into a restaurant where it's just opened and they can't do enough for you. They're really attentive. You get really excited about it. You go back a few times, and then they've lost that sort of buzz. They've lost that attentiveness, and therefore you sort of become a little bit blasé about actually the experience. Okay, so we've got to really think about if our beliefs around customers are negative, it's going to cause us to have negative actions as we go through. So we really want to be thinking about changing those negative beliefs into positive beliefs. Customers are, they're the lifeblood of our business. Without a customer, we have no business. Customers have challenges, that we're there to solve, we're there to overcome. So we really want to change this sort of belief around to something that is a positive one that we're actually trying to help our clients with, okay, and see them as a way for us to achieve our goals, but also for us to actually help them and move them forwards and help them achieve their goals. Because if it can be a mutual benefit, so we achieve our goals by helping them achieve their goals, then it's a win-win situation, and that's always the best way to move forwards. So we've really got to question those beliefs where they come in. So the other key thing, if we go back to the have side of things, is what do you want to have? So if you're thinking about your, your customers going forwards, what are your big goals for the business? So I know, Harvey, for you, your retention is key, yeah. But do you have a goal that you want to increase revenues with the clients that you've got?
Yes, we would like to increase with the customers we've got, but we're also looking for more customers at the same time.
Yeah.
We're needing of maybe 3 or 4 solid customers. We've got probably 1 or 2, well, 1 bridging on 2 decent customers at the minute. But yeah, it's just maintaining not loads of little customers, but 4 or 5 solid suppliers.
So we've always got to have this sort of thought about, so if I let me give you an example. I'm going to switch over to my whiteboard for this. Should be seamless. Can you see the whiteboard now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So when we set our targets, so let's say, let's say in year 2020, we'll take it up today, we did £200,000 of sales. Okay, and we're setting the budget, the target for 2021. Now, most people, when they do that, would sort of look at this figure and say, right, I need to increase that by 10%. So I'm going to go to £220,000. Yeah, would that sort of ring true, Katie, for when you've set budget in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah, you take last year's figure, you add a bit, and then you go, so, well, that's my target. Now, that's what I would call lazy budgeting. Because on what did you base that 10%?
Yeah.
It's a made-up figure, isn't it? It could have been 3%, it could have been 300%. Okay, so it tends to be something that feels okay, feels achievable, but not too big, not too small. What we need to do, rather than doing it this way, is say, right, £200,000 I did last year. How much of that 200,000, if I did absolutely nothing, I sat on my backside for the next 12 months, how much of that revenue would come in 2021? So for you, Katie, if it was 200,000, how much would come in if you did?
If we do nothing, apart from it, we'd have some revenue from existing work, but
yeah. So my existing clients, it might be somewhere between 0 and, let's say, 100,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I did nothing,
get work given to us,
they would come just because I did a good job in the past. Okay, yeah. But if I projected that for 2022 and I did nothing, that would probably be down to 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by 2025, that'll probably be 0, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the key here is to say, look, if I did nothing, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
And you'd say, right, well, if I actually was proactive and I actually worked that database and I really looked after my clients and I put into practice all of the things that I'm going to talk about today, what of that 200,000 do you think we could get next year if we were really proactive with our existing client base? Would it be the whole 200,000? Would it be more? Would it be slightly less?
Mm-hmm.
What would you guess?
For us, I would guess it would be a similar figure from the existing client base. Well, at the moment, it looks like we get more from our existing client base, but it depends. I mean, we work in the construction industry, so the housing sector is meant to be going up, but you can never predict anything. And current climate and everything, but probably we would get similar.
I'd say similar. So if we worked at it, then we could probably get something around about 200,000 again.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, then got to have on top of that then, so this is our existing. Yeah. Then we've got to have our new business. So this would be through our marketing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sales. So how much new business do we think that we could actually have our strategies around sales and marketing? So what would our target be there?
Based on our existing sort of models, and we know from sort of previous experience that yeah, it can be anything between about 10 and 30-40%. I mean, it could be more than that. It's actually something we find really hard to do because there's so many variables in the reasons why we get work or don't get work.
And look, don't forget, these are goals. So what we're setting here is these are our targets. So whether we achieve them or not doesn't matter. It's not the important thing. It's actually setting and saying, look, if we wanted to get, if we've got 200,000 now, if we aim for 50,000, and then you'd say, right, well, 50,000 is how many projects? So you might say, well, let's say it's £5,000 a project. So that's 10 projects. Which is virtually one a month. So could I get one project in a month, new business next year? You probably say, yeah, I think I could do that. Okay, so that would then drive your sales and marketing strategy in order to achieve that. If you looked at that and said, how much effort and money would I put in to achieve that through sales and marketing compared to this one? Which one is the more important?
I'd say the existing customers.
The existing customers, because this is going to be, what, 4/5, of our success next year. What most businesses do is they put 4/5 of their effort into this one and virtually nothing into this one. And this one then is down to luck whether you get it or not. My first sort of lesson in this is we have to look at target as a whole. So our target is not 220, it's actually 250. And therefore 200,000 of that is going to come from our existing clients. So I need to put a good chunk of my resource in my sales and marketing actually into my existing clients, not everything into new clients. Now, I'm not saying the balance is 50-50 or 40%, 60%. Every case is individual, and you've got to decide how much time and money budget goes into it. But you've got to put a budget to it, just as if you were doing an advertising campaign or marketing campaign. You've got to set the budget up to actually put into the investment into your existing clients. Does that work for you as well, Harvey?
Yeah, I guess so. All of our 99% of our business will come from existing clients anyway. Obviously we don't really have the resource to move on to more than 2 or 3 clients at the mo. So I guess so.
So you've got to say, my one client is going to put more into it, and then I'd have to put some resource into getting the new client as well. But we mustn't forget that we still got to, we should still invest in that client itself in order to maintain them, because if we lose it, the impact on our business can be huge.
It would be catastrophic for us. But
okay, so that's the first thing you need to do is set your goal for your existing clients' revenue. So what do I need to achieve through my existing clients over the next 12 months? So if I've got, you guys don't have many clients, but let's say you had 200 clients, you'd be saying, right, how many of those clients do I want to buy again? How many times a year do I want them to buy? How much do I want them to spend? Okay, so you're really setting, just as you would new business and marketing, which is generally easier, you've still got to set those targets for your existing client base. So, and I said the way to sort of think about that is, this is our sort of 5 ways formula. So this is the 5 ways that you can generate profit in a business. You generate more leads, you improve the conversion rate, you to come back more often with the number of transactions, average transaction value, and profit margin. So those multiply up to make profits. I go into more detail in that when we go into the sales and marketing workshops. But these two here, leads and conversion, is all about new business, whereas number of transactions and average transaction value, this is where we're focused down here. Okay.
I can only still see your whiteboard.
Oh, sorry. Let me just reshare that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Still your whiteboard.
Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. Is that it?
Yeah, yeah, now it's working.
So we've got our number of leads, conversion rate, number of transactions, average transaction value, profit margins. These are our 5 ways that we grow the business, and they all compound. These two are all about generating new business. These two are all about repeat business. Okay, so this is what we're focused on today. So we've got to look and say, right, how much profit do I need to generate next year? Yeah. In which case, what are my margins? How much am I going to get through these from my existing clients, and how much new am I going to get? We've got to get down to that level of granularity when we set our goals and targets for the next sort of financial year. Okay, so before we even start on any marketing at all, we've got to be setting our goals, because that then dictates the amount of activity that I'm going to be putting into this. Okay, so once we've got that, I then need to look at what dictates an ideal client for me. Now, again, for you guys with few clients, this should be relatively easy because you don't have that many to choose from. But where you've got a number of clients, then an easy way to do this is to actually categorize them into A, B, C, and D grade clients. Okay, A's are our awesome clients. So these are the ones that we want more of. B's are our basic. They're the ones that are okay, and C's are our could do betters, and D's are the ones that we really don't want these ones at all. Because a lot of businesses, as you grow, you start taking on clients that served you well to start with, but as you grow, actually are less relevant to you. Okay, they might be buying the wrong products from you. They might be taking too much of your time. They may be bad payers. Okay, so you've got to start thinking about, right, where do I spend my time? Because if you're spending 80% of your time down here with the C's and D's, you should be putting that 80% of time up here with the A's and B's. Okay, now for Harvey, where you've got 1 or 2 clients, well, I would guess they're both awesome clients because they're generating you most of your income. Katie, if you're dealing with a dozen or so, there will be about 8, probably 20% of those 1 or 2 that actually are probably causing you more problems than the others. And at some point, you might have to sort of say, actually, you're not a great client for me. I need to let you go and replace you with a better client.
Yeah.
Have you had experience of that, Katie, in the past?
Yeah. I mean, we've been trading 20 years, so we've had plenty of that. But I would say, that in recent years, we've been much better at identifying awesome clients. And we've definitely got, I would say, 90% of our clients fall into that category. Cool. So, unfortunately, sometimes the nature of the beast is it's only when you get to the end of the project that you realise what you thought was an awesome client, which is just part of the industry, really. But
part of the industry, you do learn. You tend to pick up from your past mistakes.
Yeah.
But one of the key things is understanding this. You want to put together your checklist of what makes a great client. Mm. So, is it about the actual volume that they take, how they pay, the type of transactions, really get clarity with you and the team, what constitutes a great client. And then almost survey your clients or check them off to see how you'd score them. Because often, you'll find a lot of average based ones that you can either do something to upgrade, and get them to be better, or you actually say, well, yeah, it's not great. You're taking up a lot of resource and I need to change. So we had this in in sort of nursery schools where we've got parents that are just cause a lot of grief, a lot of trouble. It's not the kids that have trouble; it's always the parents. And we in a number of times we've asked the parents to leave, and it's changed the atmosphere in the nursery school. And certain clients, where they are bad, we write to them and say, look, we don't think that we're servicing you well enough, and we're giving you notice that we won't be continuing serving you. It's a hard one to do, for a lot of people, but once you've done it, it's a bit like sort of lancing a boil. You've got rid of that pain point, and then you can just focus on the good clients and give them that level of service that they're after. Okay, so we've got to get this sort of feeling that we're really on top of building our client base of the clients that we want to have. If we don't do that, then it becomes very difficult, and we end up with a lot of clients, but a lot of them are actually going to slow us down and hold us back. So set the targets. So what are our existing client targets with regard to sales? What does a great client look like? Analyze our existing clients and see if there's any of those that we need to let go of. And then when we do our marketing, in our sales and marketing, we can go and look for more of those great clients. Okay, but the ones that we want to actually deal with are putting that resource and effort now into our A's and B's, and that making sure that we do get the maximum out of them. That's going to be the key to this. So in order to do that, what do we actually need to do? So where should our focus be with our existing client base? So the first thing we want to look at is what we call the ladder of loyalty. So this is the way that clients come into the organization, and we want to move them up through the ranks. So when we go marketing, we have a pool of suspects. So people we suspect want to buy our product or service. Now, some of you will have a database for this. You'll have a top 100 people. Other people, you just won't know who they are, and it's more of a general advertising to pull them in. But at some point, you've got to suspect that people want to buy your product and service. So Harvey, I think for you, yours is fairly simple, isn't it? You probably know the next 5 clients you want to take on.
Yeah, exactly. By name.
By name, yeah. Katie, you probably know industry sectors, maybe locations.
We know the clients. We know what projects are coming up, and sometimes we know the location of the project, and sometimes it's just a case of making sure our price is right.
Yeah.
And doing some pre-tender work in terms of getting them to know our business, so that when the tender's put in, they know who we are and what we're about and what our company's about, and hopefully that gives us a bit of an edge.
Yeah. So that where we're getting the new client in, we're going from a suspect to a prospect. So we're marketing to them, and we're generating an inquiry, a lead, a quote, a tender, something like that. Then work on the conversion rate, which is actually now I've got to convert you into a sale. Yeah, and that's what we deal with. So this one down here, we deal with the marketing workshop. This one we deal within the sales workshop. Okay, so that's the process of getting them to become a shopper. The definition of a shopper is somebody who, it's a transaction. I buy from you because it might be price, convenience, you've got the products, you've won the order, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm naturally going to buy from you again. So if we use the restaurant analogy, I'm walking down a street, I go into a restaurant because it's, there's something about it I quite like. I eat some food, and if I was a shopper, I'd probably never go there again. So, I've gone in, I've done a transaction, but you probably won't see me again after that. If I do go, there'll be something because it's location or price or ease, something that makes me go back again. And if I go back again, I then become a customer. So I've gone to the restaurant once because of a certain thing, price, convenience, whatever it is, I'm now a customer. So I'm now a repeat buyer. But my transaction, my dealing with you is still transactional. If something better comes along, then I'll go somewhere else. So if I eat at a restaurant and it's, there's nothing wrong with it, I'm doing okay with it. But if the restaurant down the road has a better promotion or has a refurb or does a discount, then I'm just as likely to go to that restaurant than the one I'm actually going to. So when it comes to us, we've got to be thinking, have we got shoppers that are just one-off purchases? And if so, how do we get them to actually come back for the second time, third time? And if I've got a customer, how do I get them to actually ensure they stay with me? Now, that transition here is from the customer to be a member. And the reason we call it member is because it starts to make you think about, do they feel a member of your club? Okay, do they actually feel that they're part and parcel of, your organization? So we've got to create this sort of thought of how would we, if we did have a club and people paid to be a member of it, how would we treat them? What would we actually do for them? So let's sometimes it's easier to think of another separate context outside your own business and then try and relate that back to your business. So Harvey, if we were a restaurant and we had, we just had customers. So they came in, they had a nice meal, and they disappeared. What do you think we could add into our restaurant to create a feeling of membership? And Katie, if you're there, what would our restaurant incorporate to do that?
Improving like the atmosphere in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, or things like offering discounts to regular customers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, great. We could have a membership program. Yeah, we can make it a much nicer place to be. So we could have, if you pushed it, you could have a membership area, of the restaurant where you get treated in a slightly better way than if you're just a customer. Okay, so we've got to start thinking about this sort of move of what we would do to get people to actually stay with us a lot longer. I think Harvey, if I remember, in your dad's previous business, he was very good at this, of actually, treating his customers extremely well and creating a membership club, for those customers. So you'd look after them, and this is where you get into a bit of the sort of corporate entertaining, that sort of thing.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah, that you really look after them well. So there's an emotional attachment to buying from you as well as a commercial transactional. Because don't forget, people buy with their heart more than they do with their head. So even in tenders and things like that, where it is generally more transactional and price driven, there are still ways to actually overcome that and get it to be a little bit more an emotional decision rather than a transactional one. And then once we've got them to become a member, if we can move them further up, they become an advocate. Okay, so an advocate now is somebody who, if we ask them, will actually refer more work to us. So they actually become lead generators in their own right. So this is why I say about the marketing strategy, we should spend time and money in doing this, because ultimately, once they're here and if they get to the top, they become a raving fan, they actually start to produce leads and become one of your marketing strategies. So if you said, right, well, I spend £10,000 on an advert to promote my business. Well, if you spent £10,000 on your membership program, how much more business would you get as a result of that? So we're starting to see this ability to take our clients through this ladder as a way to actually generate ourselves leads. Okay, it retains our clients, keeps them there, keeps them buying more, but ultimately should result in actually more business coming to us because we've treated them so well. So we're looking here to put this sort of plan together of moving people up this ladder, up to becoming a raving fan. And a slightly different way to look at this is comes from a guy called Ron Kaufman. So this is him here. He wrote a book called Up Your Service. He's a consultant for Singapore Airlines, which has won Airline of the Year many, many times. So if you can imagine, airlines are ultra competitive, aren't they? Certainly, out of Singapore and Asia, there's a number of airlines that people could take. And often people fly on price, the lowest price. Now, Singapore Airlines are by far not the cheapest, but they have one of the best customer service awards or records in the industry, which is what keeps people there. And they have been over the years, I'm not sure where they are now, obviously with COVID, because nothing's flying, but over the years, they've been one of the most profitable airlines as well. So they're not the cheapest, they're relatively expensive, but people fly them because they've built their whole system on this amazing customer service. And if we look at customer service as levels that we need to move up on, we can start to see how this sort of comes together. So if we looked at, let's take an airline as our example for this. So if we were to build an airline on criminal customer service, what sort of service would we be giving?
Terrible.
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 Yeah.
Describe terrible.
Crowded, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Expensive or more expensive, not value for money.
Yeah.
Disorganized, feel unsafe.
Yeah. How would you feel once you'd paid your money and flown or even not flown with an airline like this?
That you wouldn't use them again.
You wouldn't use them again, and you'd feel ripped off, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been done over. I've been had. So there's that feeling of real sick feeling you get when you've made a transaction like that. You just feel, oh, I've been had. I've been ripped off. That would be and there are people that make businesses out of this, but they certainly won't get repeat business. Okay, they're reliant on the fact that there's enough mugs out there that will keep buying this stuff, and no one listens, and therefore they can survive, and they'll survive, and then they'll go bust, and they'll start up something in another place. So obviously we don't do that. We don't do criminal. We're looking to be at least the next level. So this now is a basic level of customer service. So again, if we were an airline, describe to me what basic level customer service would look like here.
No frills, kind of.
Yep.
You buy a ticket, you get a seat, you get to where you wanted to at the time when you want to, but there's nothing extra, and probably you get charged for add-ons and things like that.
Yeah.
Ryanair.
So right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ryanair now, does Ryanair occasionally get sort of thought of being down here?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, some people feel that they've been ripped off and things like that, but generally Ryanair are a very good organisation that have built their business model around this.
Yeah,
you get what you pay for. It's a bit like when he talks about refunds. He says, look, we don't give refunds. Don't you get it? We don't do refunds. It's like buying a ticket for the train or a ticket for the bus. If you don't fly, you don't get the bus. you don't get a refund. So don't expect almost any level of service at this level. It's just purely transactional. It's to get you from A to B. We don't talk to you. We don't keep you informed. It really is. You get what you pay for. And if you do this really well, you can undercut the entire competition. Okay, but it's a dangerous place to be. It's not a great place. You have a very robust business model to make money down here, because again, you have very little customer loyalty. It's basically, if somebody can come in and undercut you, you'll lose those clients. Or if you dip down into here, then you'll lose those clients as well. So we need to be looking at next level up. Now, the next level is an expected level of customer service. So this is in the mind of the customer. This is what they expect, when they actually buy from you. So again, in our airline, what would our expected level of customer service be?
Sort of what your standard ticket pays for on BA, for instance. You're kind of you're going to get a meal. You're going to get the option of where you can sit. You're going to expect that, if you press a button, someone will be polite to you and help you.
Yeah.
But it's no frills, really. It's not anything above that. Exactly.
Yeah. No frills, but I come with certain expectations, certain standards that I would expect. Now, the expected obviously is consumer centric. So if I'm a first class business traveller, is my expected level of service going to be different to somebody who flies economy?
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got to understand, if we want to provide this, we've got to understand what is expected within our client base. And we might have different levels of service for different levels of clients. So same as with membership, we have different levels of membership. We'd have different levels of client service. So, our gold card holders, our platinum card holders, may well expect different levels of service within this. So we've got to really understand, what is it that makes our clients buy what we sell? What is important to them? How are they thinking to actually identify what is expected? Otherwise, if we miss their expectations, then we drop down into a basic level of customer service. So this is why this one takes time. It takes effort. This is why we categorize the clients down into A, B, C, Ds, so that we can understand what each of our client sectors is actually expecting. We don't want to stop there. Okay, we want to move on to the next level. So the next level then is a desired level of customer service. So how would you if we were flying and we had an expected and desired, what would the differences be? Any thoughts, Harvey? Have I lost?
I'm here. I'm on the phone.
Right. Katie?
All right. Okay. I guess that you might expect people to be polite, but you might desire them to make you feel like welcome and valued.
Yeah. Yeah, to be treated, be treated like royalty.
Yeah.
Treated really well. To have, I always remember flying Virgin for the first time, and they brought the ice creams round at when the movie was on. There was a sort of, that's something that actually, I would like that. That would be nice to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now pushing this expected here. If we're aiming at this level desired and we fall short, then at least we're going to meet their expectations. So we don't want us to stop there. We want to push on from there. So now we want to deliver a surprising level of customer service. So how, on our airline, how would we surprise our customers?
Like you said, maybe the ice cream was almost surprising at that stage when other people weren't doing it. But yeah, when someone goes out of their way to do something that's maybe not part of their job, or they go that extra mile or whatever to help.
Yeah, so the surprising would be, perhaps that free upgrade.
Yeah.
If I've flown with you a few times and you get a free upgrade, well, that was surprising. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
So we're pushing that, that limit on. And you can see here now that, at this level here, the basic level, I don't really care what my customer thinks. Just doing the essentials. Here, I've got to understand what they're expecting so I can meet that expectation. Here, I've got to sort of understand a bit more what they want to be desired. At this level here, they don't even know that they want that. So I've got to come up with something new and interesting and out of the ordinary. And if I take that to the top level, then I've got this amazing level of customer service that just blows their socks off. And at this level here, when I get amazing levels of service, that's when I really get raving fans. When people think that I've achieved well beyond their expectations, that they can actually, they'll talk about that. So if let's say you were flying, on an airline, and you just bought a standard ticket, and they said, look, well, you've flown with us a number of times, we understand you, we've given you a free upgrade into the first class, we've arranged a chauffeur to pick you up, we've got your favorite chef that's come on board to actually cook for you. You wouldn't actually talk about the flight, you'd talk about the whole experience, wouldn't you? So that level of amazing, of just blowing their socks off, is really sort of that aspirational level up here. Now, I'm not saying for a minute that we can do all of this in all of our businesses. For some of us, we are going to be playing down at this level most of the time. Certainly in business to business, where we've got tenders and things, we're down more at this level than we are at this level. But we've got to understand that this is going on, and if we can keep pushing and trying to get up to the next level, then we've got a better chance of retaining our clients and getting them to stay with us longer. Why would I go anywhere else if you're continually delivering up at this level here? And the one thing you do have to understand is this is an escalator going down. So what's surprising at the moment, so I'll go back to my little thing with Virgin Airways and the chalk ice at the cinema. It was surprising the first few times, then it becomes desired, and then if I don't get chalk ice, I get a bit upset. So this is always going down. We've got to maintain, what are we doing, next year, next quarter, in order to keep moving up and delivering more and more desired and surprising service with those customers. Okay, this is why it takes time and effort to really think about a great customer service program to actually, keep our clients happy, keep them on board, and keep them sort of actually buying from us. Does that I know it can be difficult in a B2B. It's easier for B2C, but in a B2B, can you see sort of ways that you could achieve?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, definitely.
Have you done anything sort of by chance in the past?
I think we do quite well at the sort of between the expected and desired, I'd say. We get quite good feedback from clients in that.
Yeah.
But I think that the surprising and the amazing is something that we struggle with.
Yeah.
And that I'm thinking we particularly have some really good clients at the moment, and maybe that we need to think about that for them, to actually sort of kind of say thank you for being good clients or whatever.
Yeah. So when a project is over, celebrate with them.
Yeah.
Have something that's a gift pack. When builders build houses and somebody moves in, you can give them something that reminds them of you, gets them talking about you, but actually sort of does make them sort of sit up and go, oh, that's surprising, that's amazing. So I wasn't expecting that. So we've got to be thinking, where are we playing, and what can we do to move people up to the next level? And remember that after a period of time, that level will be down, will move back down. So we've got to come up with something new and keep working at that and keep moving people up. Once we've got that, once we feel that we're at that level where we've got in probably the desired and surprising at least, and we've got our members up towards advocates, we've then got to create a referral program. So we've got to start making it easy for our clients to actually buy from us, okay, or to refer new people to buy from us. So how do we get a referral program together? What can be in that? Now, again, it all depends very much on your customer base. So where you've got, I had a client with a lot of little transactions, so they were selling online, and they put a little, part of the surprising was they put a little bag of sweets, in every pack, and on the packet of sweets was a little gift tag that said, thank you very much for your purchase, really appreciate it, and here's a 10% discount code to any of your friends who would like to buy from us. So we've got to make it easy for people to refer. It's no good just sort of leaving it down to them. We've got to ask them, we've got to actually help them to actually bring more clients to us. So other ways that we've done it is events. So you can put on, a dinner, take your clients to dinner, ask them to bring, a friend, a colleague, or somebody from a particular industry that you're after. So you've got to start thinking, again, strategically about how do we get in front of people that our clients know who could be our future business or future clients. So a kitchen company, they do dinners. So they put on a dinner at their studio, they bring in a famous chef and invite their clients, and then get their clients to bring a friend along. So we're starting to build the database of potential people who may well want to buy from us. So, do you get many referrals, Katie?
Most of our referrals tend to be from sort of turnover of staff going to a different company, and then we get referred work that way.
So if you're balancing this up with your customer service level, then finding these people who buy from you, their birthdays, their anniversaries, and sending them cards, keeping in touch. LinkedIn's a great source for that, because it tells you when their birthday is. These people then, when they do move, will actually be in a good position to refer their new employer onto you. So we've got to be thinking, what could be that referral program? I'm not sure. Harvey, are you back? Don't just yeah. So, any thoughts on you for referral programs? I know it's a little bit different because of the size of companies that you deal with.
We had a meeting with our customers today, and they're very keen to take chunks out of the competitors. So no one's really referring us between themselves. They're all pretty harshly against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't really get much referral because everyone kind of wants to either keep us to themselves or.
I think one of the key what we're talking about there with Katie is when you're dealing with the bigger corporates, the people are the people that refer. Not that the company doesn't refer; it's the people that refer. So building the relationships up with the people in those roles, and then when because they do tend to jump around from one business to another business. When they do go, then they can open up opportunities for you if you've looked after them well. Then when they do move, you can then ask them and say, look, now you're in with X, Y, and Z. Yeah, can you get us an intro with the owner there?
Yeah, we had an example of that today as well. Actually, one of the field managers from the last company we worked for, we've got in contact with him, and he's now referred us into another job which we're looking at. So
cool.
Yeah, that was through a good relationship with him as an individual, which I guess worked quite well.
And I think that sort of comes on to my next point here, which is going back to this sort of membership club, the VIP club. Where we've got consumers, that's fine. We can put them on the gold, silver, bronze programs. If our business comes through, strategic alliances or employees in organisations, thinking about having them in a club together can be really powerful as well. And a number of ways we've done this is to put on events. So if you can keep your client base educated, with topical information. So let's say you're an HR company and you had clients that you were training in the latest HR rules and regulations, you could then invite more people along, or people they know in similar industries, to come along to those events. So really think about spreading out through those the potential referrers to you, or alliances or referrers, to actually be in contact with them and their client base or their contacts, so that they can come into your VIP club as well. They don't necessarily have to be there all the time if they're not a referrer, but at least come in, have a taste, start that relationship, put them into your CRM system, follow them up, start building those relationships. Because it becomes this is where it sort of crosses into new business marketing, but one of your marketing strategies should be strategic alliances and referrals. Those are two ways that we can actually build our new business up. So really think about what could be in our client referral program. How would we get our clients to actually to refer more work to us, and what would be in our VIP club. So how will we treat our clients like royalty, so that we can make sure that they are in the best place to actually refer work to us. So that's really two key ways to think about our client base. Our ladder of loyalty, making sure that they come out to Raving Fans, and making sure our service levels are there. And where we've got teams, we should be talking about the those levels of teamwork. So what is expected? What's our minimum service level agreement? What should be at the desired level? If we were to do surprising, what would we be doing? The more we talk about this, the more systems and processes can be put in place, the easier and more likely it's going to happen. Because it's not easy to do this stuff. That's why so few people do it. In basic and criminal is easy. You don't have to think about it. And this stuff takes time. It takes effort. So we've got to put that time and effort into it to make it really work. So the next thing is discounting. So again, if we're looking at average transaction value, we've got to be careful when we use too much discounting in our business. When we use discounting as a lead generator, part of our marketing or conversion to buy a new client, that is okay. That is, I would say, is an acceptable thing to do, because we're basically buying a new client. So if I want to, a potential client's going to spend £5,000 a month from me, and I give them 20% off, that's £1,000. I've bought that client for £1,000. So that to me is okay. And if I go back to what I said before about the insurance companies, when you buy car insurance, you'll generally buy the cheapest, you'll buy the one that gives you the biggest introductory discount, and then after a year of being with them, they pump the price up, somebody else has given a better discount, and then I'm off again. So those companies really don't understand this ability to maintain your client levels. I've never really got it with insurance companies. If they put some more effort into actually retaining clients, they wouldn't need to give as much discount away. So we can use discounting for new business, that's okay, but we've got to understand the actual cost of discounting. If we do give a discount, what is the cost? So I've got a little table here that says, if we had a gross profit of 30% in our business and we gave a 10% discount, we'd have to sell 50% more product in order to make the same amount of money. So if you discounted everything in your range, to all of your customers, and your margin was 30%, you'd have to sell 50% more product in order to stand still. So this is why discounting is such a bad strategy. And if you're not sure on that, let me show that here. So this is as we are. So if we sold 10 units at £10 and made £100, our cost is £7 per unit, total cost 70, our margin is 30. So if I discounted that 100 by 10% to 90, that would then make me £20. So in order on that basis to actually make £30, I would need to do 15 units. So 50% more product to overcome a 10% discount. So we've got to get away from our mindset that in order to keep clients or get clients, that discounting is the right way to go. It has its place, as I said, to buy a client, it can be worthwhile, but certainly once you've got a client, then it shouldn't be about discount. What we can do, and we should think more of, is actually adding value. So how can we actually add value to our clients rather than actually than giving all that money away, discounting. So if you want to do, if you want to sort of add some value, give some low margin or high margin products away. So things that don't cost you much, that can actually be a far better deal for you. I've got some. I'll give you some examples of that in a minute. So what we want to do, so 50% more. So on the opposite side to that is actually what we want to do is increase our prices. So once we've got clients, we don't want to be scared of actually being able to increase our prices to our existing client base. Because if we're providing great quality products and service, creating raving fans, creating surprising and amazing customer service, then people will pay slightly over the odds for that service. Just look at Singapore Airlines. Isn't the cheapest, is one of the most expensive, but has an amazingly loyal customer following because they want that level of service they can't get somewhere else. So what is your biggest fear when I say put your prices up by 10%?
Competitive tender.
Competitive tender, yes, I would agree. It's tough with a competitive tender, but the problem with competitive tender is your business is always stuck in this new business. Every single client that you get goes through the same process, and it's like acquiring a new client every single time. It's very difficult to build customer loyalty, customer service when all of your business comes in from tender. Okay, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's a tough business to be in. And if you can change the model and move away from competitive tender, then you will get more profit and you might have to do less work in order to make the same amount of money. So it's definitely something to look. I'm not saying it's right in all cases, but it's definitely something that that you can look at in order to overcome this. Because at the end of the day, we're not chasing turnover, we're chasing profitability. So competitive tender aside, what's another fear for putting our prices up?
That your customer will buy less.
That we'll lose customers. Yeah, they'll buy less or we'll lose them. Okay, now that fear, we shouldn't ignore it. And I'm not saying go away and just bump all your prices up overnight, but actually that fear can hold us back from doing something that we can and should do. So if I looked at this and said, in the same way as we looked at the discounting, if I had a 30% margin and I increased my prices by 10%, I could lose up to 25% of my client base and not be worse off. Okay, so if I put my prices up by 10%, would I actually lose 25% of my clients? And what I've found over the years, whenever we've done this, the actual loss is less than 3%. Okay, across all the industries. I'm not saying this is why we've got to look at each individual business, you know, and see whether it can stack up. But in a lot of cases, the actual rate of client loss is well below 3%. In some cases, we've increased prices and the actual client has come back to us and said, you know, blimey, I think, you know, it's amazing you've done that. I still think you're good value and really you should have done this ages ago. You've been too cheap for far too long. So unbeknown to the client, the actual customer felt that they were being disserviced by actually having such a low price, because they were saying, well, how can you do it? How can you give the level of service you give for such a low price? So if we look at this again on the figures, this is our as is, so £10 making £30 margin. If I increase my prices by 10%, so my sales goes up to 110 at £11, costs stay the same. That gives us £40 margin if we kept all of our clients. If we were to lose clients, we'd be down at 7.5 clients, 25% less to make the same profit. So this is why we find that as we grow and we're taking on more and more low margin discounted work, that actually dropping some of that discounted work actually, or put our prices up, actually does help us. By losing that 25% frees us up to do more work at the higher level margin work. And this is why really understanding your numbers and getting real control over your finances is so vitally important. If we go back to our 6 steps, you know, the first step is mastery, time and finance, the 2 key things. If we're moving into niche, and growing the business, which is where we are now with this one, and we don't know these numbers, if we really don't know what our unit costs are, our sales, our margins, our overhead recovery, all of these things, then we cannot make these decisions. Okay, and we're just going on gut feeling, and ultimately we're trying to win the business without really understanding whether we're going to make any money out of it or not. And too many businesses, and I certainly know this from construction, you know, they end up in this game of chasing work based on turnover, which has no profit in it. And as long as they keep doing work, money keeps coming in, but eventually, because none of it's profitable, they run out of cash, run out of business, and the business disappears. And unfortunately, in construction, that has a knock-on effect through the organisations, and it's the small guys at the end of the chain end up not being paid, and then they go out of business when it's been nothing, you know, none of their fault. Unfortunately, that is the nature of the beast. So we've got to be, you know, very, very careful who we actually work with within that within the construction industry. So really think about coming back to this, oops, even if we can sort of put prices up by 2-3%, don't forget each percent that we put our prices up straight to the bottom line, goes straight down to onto the bottom line of profitability. So if we have 100,000, 1% puts £1,000 on the bottom line. It's the easiest and simplest strategy you'll ever have to increase profitability. Yes, it takes a bit of effort. Yes, it takes a bit of creativity within it, but it's certainly one that should be considered whenever possible to actually make it happen. So because if you imagine how much sales and marketing you need to invest to put £1,000 on the bottom line, this is one of the easiest strategies you'll ever find. And it's not something that you can do big chunks every year, but many of you haven't put your prices up for a number of years because we've been in sort of this sort of stagflation for ages, and actually really looking at it. And it might not be across the board. It might be in certain ranges. It might be certain products. It might be certain services. It might be certain customer bases. But we should always be reviewing our price structure and seeing where can we put that 1 or 2, 10% onto that sort of sales price to actually move us into a more profitable situation. Any questions on that? Can you see that could be useful, Harvey, with you? I know
yeah, for sure. We put our prices up 2 weeks ago, and we've already massively more profitable. So,
so if you're thinking about it, and if you do be prepared to lose a few clients, but again, my experience has been the clients that we lose when we put our prices up are generally the C's and D grade clients anyway. They're the whingers and the moaners. They're the ones that don't pay their bills, ones that cause all the hassle. And there's a double whammy when those guys go, is they bugger off to one of your competitors and make their life hell. So when they're there, they're not making any money out of them. So really be thinking A, B, C, D grade clients. How do we build in that? So always build in the surprising, that customer service levels up first where you can before you put your prices up. And then don't be afraid to actually put those prices up where you can to drive that profitability down to the bottom line. So the next sort of section then is really where we want to look at our upsell and cross-sell. So once we've got this client and they're a member, they're coming back to us on a regular basis, we've got that relationship with them. Now we've got to see, right, well, what else could we actually sell them? Because then now we could be a trusted advisor, we could be a very, part of their operation, that they rely on us. So we're in a great position now to actually ask them, so how else can I help you? And one of the best lines in your sales lines was when McDonald's many years ago brought in that sort of very simple little line, do you want fries with that? That instantly, I think it was something like put 20% profitability on that company just by training its sales team to say that one particular line. They then further down the line said, do you want to go large on that? Do you want to supersize that? Okay. They went a bit too far with that because of obesity. They had to backtrack. But the essence of it was, if somebody's going to buy something from you, see if you can offer them something else. So what other added value services can you actually build into this? And for some clients, what this has led to is actually completely different businesses being bolted onto the business that we're already running. Okay, so we can find that the clients that we've got require this other particular service, and therefore we set up a company, or we can even go and buy a company that does that, bolt it onto what we do, and then we're actually adding another product or service. So one mechanical company, they were providing electronic parts, sort of machines. A lot of clients were saying, well, look, we want one, but we don't want it all the time. Yeah. What we want to do is just be able to hire it. So they set up a hire company. So some of their equipment they would buy themselves, they would have it on stock, and they would hire it out because that's what the client wanted. They didn't want this, they wanted this. So we can add additional bits to our business to actually allow them to buy more services. So really be thinking, sit down again, look at your A, B, C, or your A and B clients. What else are they buying from competitors or from third parties that actually they could be buying from you? And be thinking, again, this does require you to think outside that box to other things that you could be adding to your list, to actually to offer them. So, really think in your mindset, McDonald's, I come in for a burger, what do I end up eating? Coca-Cola, fries, what else can I add to my menu to actually give more value? And actually, it will also add to that surprising and, amazing levels of customer service. Because if I can get everything I want in one place, why would I shop anywhere else? You just made my life a lot easier, a lot simpler. And that's, at the end of the day, what people want to buy from you. Is to save them hassle. So have your product lists, your checklists. I go to a lot of organisations where they're bigger and they've got multiple services or products that the customer doesn't even know what products they've got. So they might be buying this this one widget from them, but they don't realise they do all these other widgets as well. So we've got to get that information out to them on a regular basis. Build it into the sales scripts. So when people take calls, are you also aware that we do this, we do this? Okay. Sales training. Get the people trained in understanding what products that we've actually got, so that they can actually go out there and sell your services for you. If you're doing retail, point of sales, but the biggest thing always is ask. Have this regular communication with your clients. Be asking, where are they going? What are they achieving? What's stopping them? Because this is where you'll start to see opportunities to sell more products and potentially move into new areas. There's a lot of things that just get missed unless you actually ask them about it. So, Harvey, have you thought about sort of upsell and cross-sell within what you do?
So, speaking to our customers today, we would essentially propose the idea of what else can we do for you? What else can we do any other surveying? And they said, no, we're pretty happy where you are, but they suggested we look into a cutting team. So actually, guys on the ground with saws and all this equipment. And there's potential for us to do that. We know a guy who's interested in starting that as well. So it's pretty good that we can essentially go from the surveying side to the actually cutting side as well, which would be a bit of a cross sell, although it's kind of not really a sale. It's more of a request.
Look, it's if you can see an opportunity to sell more product or more service, then it should certainly be considered. And it does say those sorts of things do open, just takes you into different directions. Sometimes you've got to be careful because it will take you down a blind alley that isn't going to go anywhere, isn't going to be scalable, there's no profit in it. But if you can see an opportunity where this could be a really good addition to the business, then it's really going to help you to strengthen the business you've got. Because if they're buying one service from you, then they're not going to leave you for the other service if they're being treated well over here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
roping them in and sticking to them.
So we've really got to think about a little bit, thinking like your company's a group of companies. So you've got a holding company, you've got a number of groups. The business you've got at the moment is one business. What other businesses could you have within that group to cross-sell and cross-pollinate different services. And if you're thinking that, then you're starting to think more like a business owner, an entrepreneur, rather than a technician who is just, this is what I do, this is what I've always done, this is what I'm always going to do. You've got to be looking, beyond that as a business owner. So once we've got the cross-sell and upsell, our next way to generate more business is to make sure we keep in contact. Because there'll be times where, yes, we'll be talking to our clients, and we'll have opportunities to make those sales. But often when we've got a lot of clients or we don't see them on a regular basis, we need to keep in contact with them in between times. And the average, we always say, is you've got to keep in contact with your clients at least every 3 months. Okay, so you've got to understand that you're there, because there's a law of diminishing returns, that the longer that you don't contact them, the more they forget about you, they forget about the service they've had. And if somebody else approaches them for that service, they're just as likely to go and buy from that particular new person. And it's amazing how, over the years, you think you've got a great relationship with a client, you've done really well, they've bought your product, it's all gone well, you haven't spoken for a year or so, and then you find out a year and a half later they're actually buying from one of your competitors. And you go, well, why didn't you buy from me? We lost contact and they approached me and it was just as easy to go with them than it was you. That escalator goes down, they fall back down, become a shopper, and that relationship is gone. As soon as that relationship goes, you're good chance that you can lose that client. So the key for us all is, how do we keep in contact with our client base? And the traditional ways are, we send out a newsletter to them to keep them updated. We can do that with emails, or we can just send them, updated emails. We can meet them networking. We can put things through the post. Now, it doesn't matter which way you do this. When we talk about marketing, we talk about target, offer, copy. So who's my target? What is my offer? And then how do I get the message out to them? Exactly the same with this. We know our target is our A's and B grade clients. The offer has got to be that communication method, and then the copy is, how do I get that message through? So the key to this is, what value are you adding when you communicate to that client base? And we've all been there. We all, our inboxes every day are filled up with spam, with junk from people that we've bought from once, who send us stuff that is not relevant to where we are. It's just general noise. It's probably too often. It's sort of every single week you get something, and then you just basically desubscribe from them, or when it comes through the post, you throw it away. So this is why you've got to look at your client base as much as you can, and decide what is the best way to communicate to them and what message you're going to get out to them. And the more, it's probably, I think, in today's world, less is more. As long as it's once a quarter, at least once a quarter, then add value when you do it, rather than thinking I've got to do it on a regular basis. Okay, now if you're meeting your clients daily, weekly, then this is less relevant. All I would say on that, though, is for those of you that are doing business with bigger organizations, your relationship on a day-to-day basis might be with the buyer who's down here. Are you building the relationship with the owner or the directors up here? Because if there's a change of policy within the organization, who makes the decision of which suppliers that we use? It's not this person. It's always going to be this person. This person doesn't know you from Adam, or has no relationship with you at all. They'll have no qualms in just switching you off. This person might hate the idea, might decide that, I'm leaving if I can't buy from this person. But when it comes to a head office decision, they have no say whatsoever. So sometimes it's good then to have a two-prong approach. I know we talked about this with you, Harvey, was, where you've got your senior director, they should be having the relationship with the top guys in that organization, and then the people on the day-to-day can have the relationship down with the day-to-day people. So you're building this relationship on two levels. Okay, and this is really where that sort of corporate entertaining, corporate stuff comes in. It's it has been abused in the past, but it's actually about keeping in contact, talking to people, seeing what the opportunities are, seeing how we can add value and help. So if we send an email, if we go networking, whatever we do, write it, take a step back, give it to somebody, pass it to me, obviously if you're working with me, and say, look, is that adding value? Am I actually giving something to these people that is of value to them? If it's just noise, if it's just stuff, people will just switch off to it. And it's just because you sent 4,000 emails out does not mean that was a successful campaign. How many people read it? How many people engaged with it? Obviously, in today's world, social media, there are ways on social media to do that. For some people, WhatsApp groups, is a good way to get the message out. I certainly set one of those up when COVID kicked in, just to keep in contact with people on a more regular basis. So choose your medium depending on the target and your message, what you're trying to get across, and really think about what you put into that message. It's really, really important. Oh, where's that gone? So another little thing to actually bring more business in is a little concept we call the magic matrix. So this goes back to a little bit to the upsell, cross-sell, but it's a nice, simple way to actually think about how do we sell more products and services to our existing clients. So what we do with this is we put our customers down one side, we put our products and service along the top, and then we actually identify whether they're bought from us, they're aware of what we do, or they're not aware. So in this case, customer B has no idea we do sales strategy planning and sales director onboarding. So these are products and services we can actually promote to these people. Okay, it might be that we take this particular course here, this sales director onboarding, and mentoring, and we market that across customers B, C, and D. So we take one product and we go deep through the customers, or we take a customer and we go wide through our products and services. So this is where we've got to look at those added value services that we do, where we've got different products, different services that we want to make sure that we're selling as much of what we're doing to our existing client base. You imagine that if we could get all of our clients to buy all of our products, what impact that would have on our bottom line, and how much would that cost? That's going to cost very little in advertising, very little in marketing. Our conversion rate is generally going to be 6 times better when we sell to an existing client than to a past client. So we've got to be thinking, what is it that we can actually get across to people? How do we get that message across to them, what we actually do? So once we've got those products and services on our shelves, then we use this magic matrix to actually get that message out there. And then our sort of final area really with this is, it's all very well coming up with these ideas, these strategies, but if we don't systemize it, if we don't make it consistent, if we don't train people to do it and we don't get them delegated out to them, if it's only ever reliant on us, then we'll start it, we'll get busy, and then within 3 months' time, we've forgotten it again and we won't be doing it. So the key lesson I've learned over the years is, don't try and do too much too soon. Pick one strategy a quarter, one strategy a month if you've got the time. Set it up, get it running, process it, test it, measure it, systemize it, delegate it. Once that plate is spinning and you've passed that plate over to somebody else, then start another plate. If you start with too many plates spinning at once, they all come crashing down. You don't know which one's working, which one isn't working. Measurement becomes very difficult. And, you know, in the end, you go, oh, that was a waste of time, and you just give up. So pick one area, you know, one area of the business that quarter on customer, you know, retention, selling more to customers that you can focus on. Get as many people on board on that as you possibly can, and then really work on a strategy that is going to sort of, you know, get you to where you want to be. And sometimes you've got, you know, investment down here is a CRM system, a client relationship management system, to manage those relationships. When was the last time I spoke to that customer? Yeah. If you don't have the records of this, then it's going to make it very difficult for you as you grow with more and more customers to actually deal with. So use the diary system, use tasks. You know, I've got tasks in next year where I spoke to somebody, excuse me, I need to speak to them again. It's not on my to-do list now. I don't have to worry about it because I know it's in the system and it's going to ping back up to me in a year's time, and then I'll deal with it. So, you know, automating emails. So there are email systems out there that you can set the emails up and then it will automate them. Something like Hootsuite. Sorry, not Hootsuite. HubSpot. So HubSpot, you know, you can set your emails up. It will go out. It will drip them out. If they open it, it will send them another email. You know, there's some very sophisticated systems to set this up for you. Okay, that you can actually do. You can get third parties to do this, you know, but again, put some time and effort into it. You know, there's too many people, and your inbox is full of emails that just come that are just pointless rubbish, and that does not do your brand any good. It doesn't do, you know, it's not going to sell anything. Whereas an email once a quarter saying, you know, hi Harvey, how's business? You know, is there anything I can help you with? You know, that's probably just as effective. And make sure, you know, you follow that up with a phone call. You know, have a reason to contact people. You know, we are still selling to people. You know, and so it's very much a people thing that we're looking at. So cool. So any questions on that from you guys? What's Katie?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's some things that I kind of knew we should be doing, some things we're already doing, and some that were new to me. So, yeah, no, it was really good in terms of food for thought. I think I need to go and think about how it applies to our business. And
which area do you think, you know, you could sort of, if you were to do one thing this quarter, would make the biggest difference?
I think probably something we've been thinking about for a long time, and one of the main issues we have is lack of time, and so I think the first thing we need to do actually is to make the time to do these things.
Yeah.
But the next step from that, I think, is the surprise and amaze our customers.
Yeah.
I think we do give them value added, but I'm not sure if we go that extra step. And I think that's the market we're looking at. We're not looking at the basic service. We're looking at towards the other end.
Yeah.
And retaining good clients, and
cool.
How we could build our relations with them.
So that, look, these things, you know, they always start with an idea. You know, you start talking about it, come up with something, see if it works, test and measure it, and then you'll just improve upon it. You know, it's you've got to see this as a continual cycle. It's not just I've done it once and that's it. No, it's you've got to keep repeating it, keep going back on it. Is it good enough? You know, how can we make it better? We're doing time. The time mastery workshop is in 2 weeks' time, so
Yeah.
you'll have to have a chat with me about making the time to work on the business on this side of things. So, cool, good. Harvey, what about you? What was your biggest takeaway from this?
Yeah, it's all very good. It's probably the main thing for us is the good relationship and going from, I think, I can't remember what the 5 steps were now. We're going from surprising to amazing. We're pretty surprising at the minute, but to take it that extra little bit would probably do us quite good.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that one there, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think we were well above desired. So I think we're pretty surprising because most people who do our kind of line of work are a bit naff, from what I've gathered. So to take it to the next step and be amazing, then you're going to be head and shoulders above the rest. So there's a few things we can do. I think we're on the way there, but it's just really making sure that it all sticks.
Yeah. And often
we already do like the gifts and stuff like that.
Yeah, this level it's very much a personal thing. So it's understanding.
Yeah, it's very personal.
Yeah, okay, the company is the client, but it's the people in the company. And often, in the organisations, if your relationship might be with the MD, if you take a lot of chocolate biscuits in for the work team, they will think you're wonderful. So, for sometimes it's the other way. It's the people down at the bottom level that make the decisions, not the people at the top. So you've got to be looking at both aspects. Am I working at the top level for the strategic decisions? Am I working at the team level for the day-to-day decisions? And none of this has to cost any money. Or not a lot of money. It's more time and thought that's the difficult bit. And that's why, talking it through, strategizing it in our coaching sessions, and then, again, test and measuring it, doing it, seeing if it works is really the key to it. So home fun. So obviously, Harvey, you're working on, your 90 days. So if you want to just add a bit into that, that's fine. Otherwise, you keep at it the 90 days it is, and then we'll build this into the next one. But Katie, do think about identifying your A to D grade clients. Do look at the quickest win is your prices. If you can put those prices up in some areas, that goes straight to the bottom line, straight into your back pocket.
Yeah.
And then think about that sort of loyalty scheme, of how you can make sure that clients are moving up. And once you've got them up to membership level, then it's much easier to upsell and cross sell them at that stage. So good. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been good to have you on the call. And in 2 weeks' time we've got time mastery, so keep an eye out for that one. And any questions from this, just give me a shout if you want a copy of any slide in particular. I'm quite happy to put that over to you. So, but good luck with it. Take care.
That's great.
And we'll see you next one. Bye for now.
Cheers, Kevin.
Thanks a lot.